Hey, what's going on, people? It's your man, Chris. Yeah, I'm going to talk about, I guess I'll call it the Russell Wilson-Ciara test, because, anyway, before I get started, let me first, give a shout out to Nikki. Um, yeah, this woman literally told me I was a no good nigga because, all right, let me start from the top, right? This woman who's a friend of a friend of mine's, right? I'm helping her hook up a new HD TV that's internet ready. She can't get the internet working, so I come to help her out. This is our relationship. So while I'm helping this woman out to get to get her internet, to get her TV on the internet so she can do Netflix and all this other stuff, she starts talking about the Russell Wilson Sierra situation. Now, I already know her history. She probably pretty much identifies with Sierra because this woman, she's a middle-aged woman. Back in the day, she used to smoke weed, party with the drug dealers, all of that. When the party was over, none of those guys married her. She had some kids, and she's just one of these women who's pretty much bitter about that. Some women look at it like, they charge to the game, I guess, but apparently she's like, she felt somebody was supposed to marry her, and, hey, she took her chances. She doesn't know that I know this because, like I said, my friend has told me that if you listen to her version of the story, there was guys who took advantage of her kindness and all this other stuff. But anyway, she's talking to me about the situation, right? And I already know she looks at how she looks at the situation. And the smartest thing for me to do would have been to tell her what she wanted to hear. But what do I do like a dummy? I tell her actually how I feel about it. I'm just like, I told her how I felt about it, and she's like, yo, you no good nigga, just you think about this just like all these other no good nigga. And I was just like, I look up in the sky like, I was like, God, why are you doing this to me? I had to remind this woman, look, there's no women that have any children out of wedlock by me, and I'm not some dude who's gonna jerk some women around like that. So, but I'm just like, all right, you know what? This is just like some kind of test that women I think are doing nowadays. They'll ask you about this Russell Wilson Sierra situation. They kind of judge what type of dude you are just for how you answer. Because basically, I was telling her right now, this one thing this woman knows is that I'm like a pro. I'm for women's rights and all of that stuff. And I already know that as far as there's a thing with black men and a lot of black men and for black women. Some men are just like, fuck black women, and some dudes are just like, that hoe's problem, fuck them hoes, that's not my problem. So if you talk about women's rights or black women getting disrespect and stuff like that, they're just like, whatever. Dudes are like, yo, if you call yourself trying to advocate for black women, you're gonna be a simp, a mangina, a bitch ass nigga, all of this other stuff. And that's what people look. Some people look at me as like that. They think I'm that's the dude that a lot of people think I am because I believe in women. I don't believe in disrespecting. And I see black women have it hard, so I don't believe in like crapping on them like some dudes do. But she knows I'm that type of dude, and because she knows I'm that type of dude, apparently she thought that I was gonna see things her way when it comes to this Russell Wilson Sierra situation. I was just like, number one, I had to let her know. All right, yeah, Sierra has a child out of wedlock. If you were to if you were to dis, disregard every woman that had a child out of wedlock, a great deal of black women would never ever have any relationships after they've had that child. It's so prevalent in the black community. There's no way. If you're a young black man in your 20s, right, and you're just getting started off, and you want to get a woman, you want to marry a woman, you want to have your own kids, not take care of somebody else's dude's kid. There's nothing wrong with that. But saying a woman is no good just because she had one child out of wedlock, that's. Let's say the woman, let's say she's like this girl, Marie Holmes. She has like 4 kids out of wedlock at the age of 26 by 2 or 3 different dudes. That's a different story. I couldn't blame a dude for like saying, I don't know. Recently that woman's been in the news, and I'm not even gonna say anything really about that because I just heard nothing but bad stuff about that whole situation with her and the drug dealing dude. She bailed out with the $9 million bond. But anyway, I'm letting this woman know that number one, I don't have any problem with Sierra, having the child out of wedlock. That's not that. She could have been married and stuff like that. It's not like I don't have a problem with, it's like that's super cool, but that doesn't make her a bad woman. Let's put it that way. But the thing is, my problem with Ciara is that being that she's a celebrity, everybody knows her business. It's like everybody knows how all of this came about. Everybody knows when she got with this guy Future. Everybody knows when she got with Future that he had 3 different baby mamas. And on top of that, she actually took a picture with those 3 baby moms. I'm like, why in the hell would she do some shit like that? If I knew her, I'd be like, why in the fuck would you do some shit like that? Why would you take a picture with his 3 other baby mamas? Now, I don't know whether she already had the child by him when she took that picture or that was before she had the child. But she ends up being baby mama number 4, which basically means you basically volunteered to be his 4th baby mom. And people could say, she can say, pretty sure Ciara feels that he played her and all this other stuff. But in my opinion, she played herself. And to me, it's beautiful. Ciara's a beautiful, sexy woman and all of that. She even seems like she's a classy woman. But you played yourself. That fairy tale princess thing you shot yourself out of heaven with that one. It's just like, boom, you're just a regular chick. Now, you ain't that chick who's up in the clouds. It seems like, you're going to be some dude's fairy tale princess. That shit is gone as far as I'm concerned, So, for me, Russell Wilson, I'm just like, he's treating her like she's like, and I'm just like, okay. Now, then on top of that, Russell Wilson saying that he's going to abstain from sex and I'm just like, hold on now. Hold on, player. Now, this woman has a child at a in fact, that child's not even that old, but apparently this woman has no problems with having sex out of wedlock. So for you to say you're going to abstain from sex and all of this, and I think he's only known her for not even a full year or something like that. So I'm just like, that shit is strange to me. It's strange to me, and I'm just like, I don't understand it. So, it's hard for me to support it. Like, if I knew Russell Wilson, I would tell him, like, yo, Holmes, I think you better rethink that, because, you just got your $87 million contract, and, you could, I'm not saying he could do better than Ciara, but, you could, I know he's already been married, got himself a white girl, the white girl cheated on him, and, he left the white girl, and, I know he like, discarded the white girl, now he's with a black woman, but still, I think he could probably get himself a girl who doesn't have a child, who, or at least even if she doesn't, at least her history isn't like Ciara, because history, it's like, I'm talking about Ciara, like maybe like she's one of those chicks who got ran through by the streets, but she's not. But the thing is that her, like I said, her business is all over. Everybody knows her business. Like, if he just met Ciara and he didn't know all of this other stuff, I could see him like, yeah, okay, I still wouldn't like, that not having sex thing. I'm like, why in the world would you not want to have sex with her? But I can understand the Christian thing, but she already has a child. It's not like she's like what do they call it, Vestal Virgin, anything like that. But basically, I told this woman how I felt about it, and she I already know that she relates this to probably her own situation, because like I said, when the party was over, none of those guys married her, and I guess they really didn't want to be dealing with her kids either. So. They got her pregnant. She had babies, I think, by 2 different guys. The guys didn't want to have nothing to do with her or the children. And, once the party was over, I guess she felt like she was a really cute girl back in the day. And what can I say, I knew she felt that way and stuff like that. And like I said, I kind of did that to myself because I knew how she was looking at that situation. But I still, instead of lying, just lying to keep the peace, I told the truth of how I actually felt. And, she just like blast off told me. I'm like, basically told me I'm a no good nigga. I think just like all these other no good niggas according to her. So I was just like, okay. I still helped out with a joint though. Got a joint working. Got a TV on the internet and all that stuff and broke out. But I'm just like, I was just like, I can't. But anyway, one of the reasons why I'm making this video is I'm just like, just because I'm a dude who believes, like I'm pro women's rights, I believe that women have, women should, especially I see how, in my opinion, a lot of us, we do our black women bad. Black men, we treat them like shit, in my opinion. A lot of black men don't like hearing that, but, that's the way I look at it. And, like I said, just because I'm a dude who looks at things that way doesn't mean that I'm going to look at a situation like Russell Wilson and Ciara and be like, yeah, good for you, Ciara, and yeah, Russell's a real good man. I'm just like, no, I can still look at that and say, yo, That situation is kind of shaky right there. But I just had to like get that out my system because I'm just like, just because I believe in women's rights stuff, you shouldn't assume that I'm just a straight up. I'm not gonna say Russell Wilson is a straight up chump just because, but I don't know. It's just something weird about that. I mean, be honest with you, I was like, if Russell Wilson was on this kind of stuff that he's on now with the woman that he was married to, maybe that's one of the reasons why because I'm saying that. Just like it's kind of. I mean, I understand he's a Christian man, but I know a lot of Christian men who like, when it comes down to sex and all that, they on some other shit. They just like your, the worldly dude. So I don't know. His thing is, I don't know. I mean, like I said, Ciara, I always said that sometimes women who kill themselves by telling you what happened with the man before, because if women start telling you how the dude before played her and the stuff he did to her and stuff like that, and you might be looking at her one way, and then she might go down a couple of notches when she starts telling you the stuff. You're looking like, oh, hold on, you let that dude do this to you? You let him play you like that? And it's just like, well, hold on, if a dude was playing her like that, well, why am I treating her like she's some kind of damn princess? Dudes actually were thinking like that, like, hold up, dude was playing you like that? Dude was playing you like that? Dudes, they won't actually say it, but they'll be thinking like, oh, hold up. I mean, you was doing all this for this dude, and see, woman's gonna expect a man to think like that, no good dude, but the dude is actually, he'll be thinking, yeah, some dudes be thinking that's no good, some dudes will also be thinking, how in the hell you let that dude play you like that? But anyway, that's just my, that's just what I have to say on the topic. I generally don't talk about the celebrity stuff because, it's just, but apparently, like I said, it's looking like women, that's the women are using this, talking about this situation as some kind of test. Like, let me see what this dude's mind is at when it comes to relationships. And I'm just like, well, hey, what can I say? The thing is, I don't know. I mean, hey, the woman blasted off on me, and I'm just like, hey, she should realize. I think most men, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say most men, but I think there are a lot of dudes who will like kind of. There are a lot of dudes who just still on that, that's once Sierra becomes a single mother, fuck it, she's through. It's just like, I think, what was it, Elvis, like once one of his wives had a child, he didn't even want to touch her after that. He was like, he wanted somebody else after that. Once she had the child, he was like, okay, you ain't no good from there on. I'm just like, damn, that I believe there are dudes who still think like that. That once a woman has that child, it's like, it's no good down there. Time to get something brand new. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on the topic. So thanks for listening, people. Peace.